Hello, guys, and welcome back to the FSF podcast. I am Tim. I am your host, and this is your reminder that you are watching and or possibly listening to a show that is made by a nerd for all you nerds. So, welcome to the Nerdatorium. Our guest in the Nerdatorium tonight is an excellent voice actor who has lent his vocal work to video games, animated series, loop groups, and for some of the biggest movies around. Now, you've heard him in video games like Starfield, Game of Thrones, KingsRoad, the Final Fantasy VII remake, and also the Rebirth. He did both of those. Just Cause 4, and that's just a few of those. Animations like Adventure Time, Record of Ragnarok, the Jurassic World game show, Chaos Theory, I believe it is, because I have incomplete notes, and that's a very good of a host to have an incomplete note there. But it is what it is, and I'm hoping he'll forgive me. But there's also Shaman King, Marvel's Avengers. I could keep going on. It's a very cool resume. You're going to want to check him out after you sit down and listen to this interview. But in tonight's interview, we're going to discuss his entry into voice work, how he brings his characters to life in both new creation and existing characters, and the challenges of individual areas of voice work. And there's some other things we're going to talk about as well. I am very excited to welcome Sean Rohani to the FSF podcast. Welcome to the show, Sean.
Thank you for having me. You are forgiven. I wouldn't be able to tell you the title of half the stuff that you just listed. It's all
well, the worst part is that I made notes, and I realized that as I got distracted with my notes, there's also this whole problem of ADHD where everything's like, ooh, shiny. And I realized as I was going through the notes that I did not complete the Jurassic World Chaos Theory. I believe it's Chaos Theory, right? Did I get that right?
I believe so too. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go with Chaos Theory. If it's not, somebody can correct us in the comments. They usually do. But that's so all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, I think yeah. So anyway, yay, HD.
It's all good.
ADHD. All right. So Sean, the first question I ask every single guest who's ever been on my show, unless they've been here multiple times, I do this question for multiple reasons. Number one, I love to know what makes people tick, why people do what they do, and why they're in the chosen field that they're in. Okay. And then secondarily, I'm a huge nerd, and us nerds love a good origin story. So in the origin story of Sean Rohani, what made you say, I need to be a voice actor?
Oh boy. I'll try to keep it quick, but that's going to be tough.
That's okay. We like long answers. Long answers are good answers.
Okay. Well, like I'm sure many other actors, I grew up impersonating people around me, friends and stuff, and was obsessed with cartoons. But I went to college studying mechanical engineering, and then decided to switch halfway through after this like serendipitous conversation with somebody who was switching majors to try to go into the film school, or theater school for him. But so I switched to film with my concentration in animation, thinking that I'd be like a storyboard artist or something, work on production. And I got to work on intern and PA on some shows like, some titmouse shows like Metalocalypse. And there was one called Randy Cunningham, 9th Grade Ninja. And I like weaseled my way into a voice record for that, pretending that there was a reason for them to have me and that I would somehow contribute. But I was just like, get in a candy store, eating popcorn, watching Legends. I think that first day I saw John DiMaggio and Kevin Michael Richardson recording, and Ginny McSwain was the director, and she's like a legendary voice director.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, for some reason, seeing them do it was what it took for me to realize that, one, like, obviously they're incredibly talented, but that like it felt real seeing it. You hear about actors and stuff, but it feels like a fake job, even though I lived not far from LA. I mean, I grew up in Southern California, but seeing it happen was super impressive and gave me the idea that, this is how the gears work. I think I can work my way towards that. Like it was almost like, having the IKEA furniture manual right in front of you, like, oh, okay, now I see it built. I just need to put this here, put that there, and I can make a job out of it. Of course, it took many more years after that until that really happened. But yeah, that's more or less my origin story.
All right. I love that it begins with a no, no, really, I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah. It's weird. Like, you know, it's a good question to ask voice actors because like it's not like being, you know, a lawyer or an accountant where like the path is kind of the same for everybody. You know,
Right.
you take the LSAT, you take the bar in whatever state you want. Like
Right.
everybody's got such a wildly different answer. Um,
Oh, for sure.
and mine gets like that was a realization for me to pursue it, but there was a lot more like meandering and crazy stuff happening before like I had that moment of decision of okay, I'm going to pursue this full time as a career. So I don't know if you want me to go into all that, but we got plenty of time.
Well, you know, it is kind of interesting though for me because I think some of those twists and turns are not only formative for the career decision, but also the decisions that you make within the career.
Hmm.
You know, unless I'm mistaken, from every voice actor I've spoken with, and that's one of the voice actors are a group that I love to speak with on this show because you guys have some of the craziest stories, and B, you guys, you know, you're always usually very gregarious and easy to talk with, and so it makes it for fun conversations. Plus, you guys have all voiced some of my favorite things ever. So, um,
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's a lot of
but
fun.
I find that the decisions that lead to the career also affect the career path post that. Would you agree with that, or does that, or am I looking at this in a different light?
Um, I think so because you know, the decisions that it takes to get to this career, you kind of come with some of the requirements in succeeding in the career, I think. But and this isn't exactly what you're saying, but on a similar note, like I've noticed a lot of the things that I've booked even have something to do with what's going on in my life. Like
Okay.
it doesn't matter like you know, they say in entertainment if you want to be an actor or a voice actor like it's kind of a tricky career to pursue because you can't go gung ho all out just pursue taking all the training you could and studying everything you could. You have to have some sort of balance in life to be able to live actual life experiences to become a more
Right.
fully fledged person and you know, be able to bring more to auditions and roles that you play later on. But yeah, I mean, there was like this the character Udir that I booked for League of Legends. He's kind of like this spiritual hermit in touch with nature and stuff. And around the
Right.
time that audition came out, I was reading this book. I forget what it's called, but it's about this hermit who decided to just live in a lake in Maine by the lakeside, like away from civilization for like 28 plus years. And like these things were just happening at the same time and like one kind of informed the other, but it's not like I read that book to consciously prepare for this role I didn't know was going to come, you know.
That's kind of cool how that, well, you know, one feeds the other.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's trippy stuff.
it is trippy stuff. That's kind of cool though. All right, so since you brought up one of your characters, let's talk about the process of character creation. Now, whether you're starting fresh with a character, maybe not necessarily an existing character because that roadmap's already been laid out and you're having to follow what somebody else has done. But let's talk about one that's new to the movie, the show, or the video game at hand. What do you like to have in order to start creation of a character, and what do you focus on first?
Um, I think the thing that I focus on first is probably the script because usually you'll have like a character description and some other things. And if it's like a fully fledged script, even if it's just sides where there's no other characters, it's just like isolated lines that tell you, you know, you're angry for this line or you're whatever,
Okay.
commanding for this. Like I tend to prioritize the script over the description of the character just because I feel like you just organically get a better grasp of the type of character it is once you're looking at how the character's written versus the description of the character saying, "Oh, he's this or he's that." Because sometimes
Okay.
you find things in the script that that don't necessarily align with that. But that's probably where I start. I think when I was younger, I definitely used to start with like, and once in a while it still happens where like immediately I'm thinking of the voice to put on, and and like the second you do that, you're out of it, because like it's the mic can pick up if you're just doing a kooky sound or voice or texture
Right.
without any of the bones to back it up.
Okay. Now, with some of the voice actors I've talked to in the past, they would agree with you. They like to look at the script. They like. Now, does it help you or hinder you to have an image of the character that you're going to play? Do you prefer to have an image, if at all possible, or do you like to kind of get surprised and go, "Oh, that's who I was voicing"?
I think I honestly am happy with any and all types of auditions. Like, it can be helpful to have the character, a character design to go with it, but it's very rare these days, I feel like. Um, but yeah, it can help, but also you got to be careful because it can sort of pigeonhole your choice too, to
Oh, sure.
assume that, the character that's you're seeing requires a certain type of voice, and if it's like, not to be cliche, but some character with thick braces, and everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, I'm gonna give them a lisp and give like, you know, yeah, there are gonna be a million auditions that
Yeah,
sound
yeah.
just like that," um, which isn't necessarily wrong, but it ends up being like a superficial choice instead of trying to get to the bottom of the character.
Right. So doing something that sets you apart, then instead it sounds like every Tom, Dick, and Harry that put in the same lisp.
Yeah, yeah, and again, the lisp is fine, but I think one of the most important things an actor can do is you you don't want to think in terms of an actor brain of setting yourself apart, because that's like an external thought that doesn't have to do with the character. So even that, the mic is very sensitive. Like, casting directors can hear if an actor's just trying to be noticed versus truly embodying the character. But yeah, you want to just find bits and pieces of the character that feel more fleshed out in a way beyond the common choices.
Okay. I want to dive a little bit deeper into that comment there, because this is the first time I've ever, out of all the interviews I've ever done, it's the first time somebody's mentioned this, and I'm really kind of curious about your experience with this. You said that the casting director and everything can hear whether or not you're fully into this, and what was your experience of learning that you had to be more invested in the character and the voice instead of just putting out a sound?
Um, well, what I say basically is it's not every actor's experience, but for me, it felt like it took 2 years of thinking that I was good, but actually sucking, like, because I was misprioritizing what's bookable. Like when you're first starting out,
Okay.
you're just so focused on the voices and stuff, you don't realize that you're just doing cliche characters and not acting as convincingly as 1,000 other people that are booking those roles regularly.
Right.
So it takes a couple years of training and stuff to realize, okay, I that's not the important stuff. And then it takes another 2 years to get good at the important stuff. And then it takes about 2 years to have like casting directors and stuff start to notice that, oh, you're doing potentially bookable auditions. And then like another 2 years for word to get around and for them to realize it's not a fluke and that you're doing it kind of regularly. Um, that's the mathematical formula I've come up with. But yeah, I don't know if that
All right.
entirely answers your question.
No, it does. It helps for sure. So I mean, along those 2 year increments, I have to assume that at some point you're given some level of advice on how to adjust your method, your maybe even the way that you carry yourself in the booth. What was some of the best advice that you were given in order to help hone your craft?
It's hard to say because I feel like a lot of it's just, you know, subconsciously absorbed. But I mean, some simple things like, a question that a lot of actors will ask at workshops and stuff is, you know, is it okay to improvise, or for auditions or whatever? That's one way to stand out. But again, like, I've heard directors say, It depends on the project, but if you improvise, you know, make sure it makes sense for the character as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to just, again, like I said earlier, you as the actor trying to stand out in a sea of auditions. But
Sure.
it's I guess to also remember that it's not it's people say it's selection not rejection. So when you're trying to audition and stuff, if you don't book something, it may have nothing to do with how good your audition was. It's not a reflection of how good it was. it
Right.
it could literally just be that yours was perfect, but you sound almost exactly like somebody else that's already been booked and they need a little bit more separation, or you know um that I've heard it described as ice cream flavors. You might be the perfect chocolate chip cookie dough flavor ice cream, but casting's just looking for, mint chocolate chip. And
Right.
now I'm
Yeah.
getting hungry, and now my ADD brain is going. Let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about food.
Ice cream.
Uh, yeah, exactly. Let's have a moment of silence for ice cream.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I'm over here going, Superman. That's my favorite ice cream ever. I to this day, I mean, I'm 49 years old. I walk into an ice cream store, I see Superman. I'm like, yep, that waffle cone. Let's make that happen. Do the thing. So,
Wait, which one's Superman ice cream? What
so
flavor is that?
that's very
Mhm.
much a Midwestern thing.
Okay.
So Michigan thing. I think really just a Michigan thing.
Hmm.
So, it's like, uh, it's red, blue, and yellow. So there's a lemon flavor. I think it's a strawberry cherry flavor and like a blue raspberry. And
Hmm.
so it's a stripe of red, a stripe of it's like Neapolitan, but red, blue, and yellow.
Hmm. Okay.
And so yeah. And
Interesting.
it's just delightful. Um, and now I really, really want some. So
I'm with you, man. Although as an ice cream person, I tend to go more towards like chocolatey flavors and stuff than fruit flavors. But
fair. I you
um,
know, I you know, I'm not gonna kick a chocolate peanut butter cup to the curb just because it's not Superman, but I'm just saying, if Superman's there, I'm probably gonna have Superman. So,
fair enough.
and dang it, now I really want ice cream. Okay, this sucks. And it's like 6 degrees here in Michigan. Ice cream makes no sense whatsoever. So,
I know, but
okay,
it's cozy. You have it
it
indoors
is.
and with the heater
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
I'll go sit next to my wood stove and have ice cream because that makes total logical sense. All right. All right, Sean. So you've had opportunity to work in some pretty big universes. You've worked for Marvel. You've done some work for on I believe it was the Dial of Destiny for Indiana Jones, and you've done there's mentioned League of Legends. There's a whole bunch of different things that you have worked on. These are all really big things. Whether you were a voice actor, you're working in the ADR loop groups, or whatever. But typically, even if for somebody who's had the level of success that you've had and been able to book some of the really cool things that you've been able to book, there's still that one job sitting out there that's just perched perfectly up on the hill, and it's the white whale just sitting there saying, "Hi, Sean, come book me. You want this job." That's a really bad voice impression to a voice actor, but we're going to go with it. So, for you though, what's the white whale project for you, and what about that universe makes you want to work in it?
Um, in terms of like IP, anything X-Men would be phenomenal to work on. Just because I grew up watching the cartoons. I didn't grow up
Sure.
with comics as much, but I was obsessed with the X-Men. And I have like friends
Mm-hmm.
that have like Isaac Robinson Smith's the voice of Bishop in X-Men 97. He's an amazing, super talented actor. Um, and funny dude. But yeah, I would love to be in that world in any capacity. I'll be the janitor, in cleaning up. Yeah. um, but yeah, and as far as type of work, I haven't. It would be cool to like, not to get too inside baseball. I'm sure your audience knows, but like to do more performance capture, like work in a volume and like have a kind of like juicy role that requires that type of acting where you're in the volume and you're off book acting with fellow actors and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be cool to get something like that because I've gotten some some like performance capture stuff, but it hasn't been in the volume. It's more like facial capture or kind of low key stuff.
Okay. I understand your desire to be anything in the X-Men universe. I have said publicly for a long time that if I ever have a chance to have my name anywhere on a credit for something Star Wars related, I don't care if it says, guard of the water bottle. I'm there. Paperclip holder for Dave Filoni. Done. I will make it happen. But
That's actually
yeah.
one that I like. That's I've worked in some tiny capacity in a bunch of the main like universes, whether it's Marvel or DC or whatever, but Star Wars was like the one that could have been checked off, but early on there was the one I booked a gig. It was just for like a toy, but a Star Wars toy, but I wasn't able to. There was only like one day that they could record, and I wasn't available that day, and I was like shooting myself in the foot, not being able to change things to make it happen. But so
Oh,
yeah,
that's
technically, that'd be a cool one too.
so. What was the toy?
I honestly don't remember. Is
Okay,
the
fair.
good thing about my, goldfish ADD brain is it's a natural NDA. I'll forget everything.
A natural NDA.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Ted Lasso. Got to have goldfish mentality. Yeah.
Yeah.
10 seconds, forget it, walk away. Yeah, there are definitely some benefits to being a 10-second Tom and being able to walk away and forget something. Okay. No,
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
absolutely fair. But yeah, boy, man, I have joked around with my wife. We've been married for 28 years.
Wow.
And I have
Congrats.
joked around with my wife that, thank you, that if I told her, I'm like, I love you until the earth is no more. But even if it's on our anniversary, if I get invited to do something Star Wars related, like official Star Wars, not just like, me running around the backyard with my lightsaber. Um, I'm like, that's totally going to happen. I love you. You're going to have to forgive me, and I will come back to you groveling with roses and chocolate. But that's going to be a thing. I think she understands that about me at this point in our relationship. We've been together long enough that she knows that I'm just that big of a nerd. So
Yeah, it would be shocking for her to have an issue with it if that happened now, after having
I would think so.
spent,
Yeah.
almost 30 years married to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've been together for almost 31, married for 28.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I have said many, many times, and this will be no surprise to anybody who's heard this before. My wife deserves sainthood. She's put up with all of my nerdy thoughts and ideas and harebrained schemes and all 80 levels of my HD, all 80, 80 ADHD-ness that
Yeah.
I have. She puts up with all of it. So, but yeah,
Amazing.
she's a wonderful woman.
Awesome.
I'm married way above my level. And I'm not just saying that because there's a chance that she'll hear this.
Mm.
But in case you are, love you, honey. So anyway.
Yeah, she sounds
All right,
incredible.
let's take exactly. All right, so let's take the shine off me. Let's put it back on you because you are the star of the show tonight. All right, so Sean, your IMDb list has some, like I said up front, you got some really cool credits. Now, there's credits for acting, there's credits for directing, there's credits for set and site production, which leads me to think that Sean is a busy, busy boy. So in the downtime between projects, what does that look like for you, and how do you unwind and recharge?
Well, I have a very grumpy old Pomeranian rescue that keeps me very grounded. I have given this dog everything, my wife
I
and
love
I,
it. Love
and
it.
you see these videos of dogs where like they're reunited with their owners and it's a huge amazing experience. We could be out of town for 2 weeks and come back and she'd just be like, "There's my food bowl, bro. Fill it up." Not an ounce of thankfulness in this dog soul. But other than that, I love traveling so much. I think it should be required for everyone. It
Oh
just
yeah.
helps make a more you know, empathetic world, and it's just really cool getting to see
Oh yeah.
travel around America and see all the incredible nature and states and people, and also like to other cultures that you're not familiar with, you don't speak the language, and see how people live all around the world. So definitely love that when I can do it. And yeah, sports. I'm a Laker fan. That
Okay.
I'm a soccer fan for uh La Liga, the Spanish league. My team is
Okay.
Atletico de Madrid, for any audience member who any listener who is familiar with that league. But yeah, that's really most of it. And then hang out with friends, family, my nieces and nephews. Yeah,
Nice.
about to have another one on the way, so it's
Oh,
gonna be a
very cool.
blast. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I agree with you about the travel. I think when you're able to see how other cultures live and work, and one of the great things about even the United States of America is even if you're just traveling around the United States, you have opportunity, especially in larger cities, to go to cultural centers and areas where certain nationalities will congregate and live in an area. And like for us, there's obviously that with Detroit in
Mhm.
Michigan, but where I'm about the same distance from Chicago that I am from Detroit.
Okay.
And so we go to Chicago quite often as well. And being able to go into other communities and experience their food, their culture, how they interact with one another. It really is it's a very nice eye opener, I think, for showing that there there's more that, and this is going to sound trite, but there's more that combines us than separates us.
Oh
There's
yeah,
in
100%.
every community there's love of family, there's love of culture, there's love of food, there's love of friends, there's all these things, and it's like there's all these dividing lines that people want to put up. But I think that if you really get out and you go see the world, a lot of those man-made walls that we put up just start coming down.
100%. No, it's very well said. I feel exactly the same way. I'm jealous that you're close to Chicago. I've only been there one time for like an extended weekend,
Okay.
and I loved it. I feel like everyone says Chicago is the best, but anyone from Chicago is always like, "What was the weather like when you went?" And wait and try to live a winter in there, and you will leave. But it's an amazing city. I wish I
Yeah.
hopefully I can go there again soon. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun place to visit. There's so much to do, and like for us, a lot of times if we go, one of the great ways to get there is, so I live just outside of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and there's a big Amtrak station there, and the train runs to and
Mm,
from Chicago every day. And so
nice.
you can get if you get there early enough in the morning, you can take the train into Chicago, spend all day in Chicago, take the train back. You don't have to pay for parking or anything in Chicago, and you get to have a great time. So
Amazing.
it's yeah, it's a whole lot of fun, and you get a train ride out of it, which speaks to other things about my personality, but that's a whole nother thing. But and I'm like, "Woo, train!" So,
Yeah,
uh,
I'm pro train. I'm pro train too.
absolutely,
You
train
see
trips are amazing.
those maps of like America and definitely in LA where like it's whatever 50 100 years ago there's so many train routes, and now it's like completely sparse. Like LA used to be littered with train tracks, and now it's
Yeah,
impossible. It's very limited where the train goes. But yeah.
yeah. I'm trying to plan with my wife for a future anniversary trip to go on a train trip across country. That's like get the nice the nice sleep car with the nice good sized bed, and then get to go up the observation deck and have meals up there and all that stuff. That's what I want to do. That's
Yeah,
I got to
that'd be
do. I got
really
to take a
cool.
small trip across a few states 2 summers ago, and that was. I got home and I'm like, we're doing that. That's it's going to be a thing. We're going. So yeah,
Nice. Yeah,
but
this is an excellent country for like epic road trips.
oh, for sure, absolutely.
Yeah, I for years ago I did for work. We went from California to Arkansas for a work thing, and then from there to Florida, and then back. But yeah, so that was the only time I got to do like a cross country, LA to Florida. Didn't get to go up north, but you get to see so many cool things that you would never even know
Absolutely.
like existed if you're on a plane.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. All right, Sean, here's my next question for you. And it kind of goes back towards the first one where I said, I like to know what makes people tick. This is kind of along those same lines. I call this suggestion time. What is Sean Rohani reading or listening to that you think everybody else should know about?
Um, I uh I read and like watch a bunch of like YouTube videos of just interesting all kinds of random interesting stuff, usually science or nature related or
Okay.
some history or like linguistics, but like there was this book called The Hidden Life of Trees, I believe, which, at face value doesn't sound super interesting, but then you read about these trees and I might be getting it wrong, but I think it said that like certain species of birch trees uh can basically more or less taste like the saliva of pests that are harassing them, and then based on that, be able to send out chemicals that attract that specific pest's predators to come and destroy all the pests so they can leave
Oh,
the tree alone.
wow.
So like, yeah, I love little facts like that. Like recently, I just saw a video on uh I was thinking, how the hell did we get such a good picture of Pluto? That came out not too long ago. And that was on the NASA New Horizons. And so I get curious about this stuff. I think a lot of like ADD
Sure.
people get curious in that way. Um, but yeah, and it turns out the New Horizons is nuclear powered. It's this little thing that took 10 years to get to Pluto, billions of miles away. But then that amazing photo that we have of Pluto, the detailed one with a little bit of red and white, um, took 4.5 hours to get back to Earth through radio waves that would get like decrypted and hit this 200-foot wide satellite. So, anyways, like
That's
that's
crazy. Yeah.
yeah, it just blows my mind. So, I love like just and it's not like I even seek I love learning about random things. Like I'm not searching on YouTube like I'm kind of like trusting the algorithm to just send me interesting, you know, fun
Yeah.
fact types of videos to delve into.
So basically you're hitting the scroll button and going for the ooh, shiny.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right. That's fair. I can appreciate that. I do the same thing with on some other places. All right. Very good. Very good. All right, Sean. We've hit a point in this conversation where I need to ask you a silly question.
Fair enough.
And it's really not all that silly, but here I got to build you a little bit of a clock to tell you the time. Now, the reason why this question came about is that one of the FSF Popcast team members, Kathleen, was out with her daughter, and somebody asked her daughter this question, but did not ask Kathleen this question. And Kathleen thought that was very rude and that you should never age out of this question. And that question is, Sean Rohani, what's your favorite dinosaur?
For most of my life, it was the Allosaurus when I was a kid because I always
Good
liked
pick.
the cool dinosaur. I always liked the cool animals that aren't like the mainstream, like the
Right,
T-Rex, but
right.
just one notch, or like the blue whale's the biggest whale. But I'm like, no, I'm all about that fin whale. It's almost 100 feet. It's like 80 feet, but nobody talks about them. Um, but yeah, Stegosaurus is pretty cool too. And
Nice.
I think if I remember correctly, speaking of random fun facts, I think we're closer to the T-Rex in terms of time than the T-Rex was to the Stegosaurus, which is kind of wild. Um, but yeah, I should
Yeah,
I should I should research it's been a minute since I've delved into the world of dinosaurs, but
same.
like yeah, so I'm sure there's some really cool ones I'm forgetting about. What about you?
That's
What's
okay.
your answer?
Triceratops always
Mm,
has been.
yeah.
And the tie-in answer to all of that is when I was a kid, I was obsessed with rhinos. I
Mm.
thought rhinos were really cool. The one or the two-horn rhino, and then I saw the Triceratops, and I was like, cool, triple rhino, and it just kind of took off from there. Um,
Yeah, that's
but yeah,
logical. Yeah, that
yeah.
makes sense.
Well, when you're a little kid and you see this, and you're like, oh, that's really cool. That's a modern day dinosaur. I still believe that.
Mhm.
And then you're like, oh, but look, it could have come from that, and that thing has three horns, and yeah, and
Yeah.
I just always thought it was really cool, but yeah, but that's why
Yeah.
that's for me. That's always been the number one with a bullet has always been Triceratops. So I always thought it was really cool.
Mhm,
So,
mhm. That's a
but
solid choice. Yeah.
thank you, sir. Thank you. All right, Sean, thank you so much for being on the FSF podcast today. Where can our listeners and viewers go to find out more about you, your work, anything you've got going on?
Just, search my name I'm on Instagram and Twitter, even though I'm not good at any of these things, a bit on Facebook, but yeah. And there's as far as things that I'm on, other than things that are already on IMDb, it's tough to mention anything because of, again,
Fair
ADD.
enough.
But I mean, NDA, not ADD. Wrong letters. But yeah.
Same thing,
find me wherever. Yeah, exactly. No,
either way, he doesn't remember what they are, and either way, he's
Exactly.
not getting in trouble. So
yeah, it's a foolproof strategy.
Love it. Okay, well, I will make sure that I'll put your Instagram handle in down below for people to be able to find you, follow you, and see what you've got coming. So as things come up, the things that you can talk about, you'll be able to share some releases there for people as well. All right, guys, and this seems like a prime time to remind you that if you're not already following our show here on YouTube, that's the most important free thing that you get to do today. It costs you $0. Not even, and there's no exchange rate. You can have Canadian dollars and it costs the same amount. It's a $0 proposition. And doing so helps make sure that we get more amazing guests like Sean Rohani here to have these great conversations and fun moments for you guys to be able to listen to. So please consider following our show. It helps out well more than I'll ever be able to thank you or repay you for. And be able to be sure to check out Sean's work as well, because you're not going to want to miss out on some of the cool stuff that I am sure that he has coming and we're not able to talk about. And I'm going to put a link down to your IMDb page as well, so they can go see the stuff that you've done and go make sure that they find you on your previous works as well. So
much appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. So on behalf of Sean Rohani, and thank you, Sean, for being on the show, and the FSF podcast, thank you for listening and or watching. And may the force be with you as you continue to live long and prosper. Goodbye. Reference to any specific product or entity mentioned on this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by Pop Culture Addicts. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at info@pcapod.com.